This next part is talking about how I got diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. So in the previous video, I spoke about what experience happened in my life that made me think that I had ADHD and dyslexia. I haven't spoken about all of it. I've only spoken about how it affected me academically, but through the series, I'll talk to you how it actually affected me in terms of mental health, emotional well-being, and socially, and in relationships, really, dating, because hey, that's what this channel's for. I'm going to talk about all things human, being a doctor, yes, even dating, because y'all like the plantain Twitter topics. So I was in a meeting. So for those of you who just seen this video, I was in a meeting with one of my advisors. This is after I'd failed fourth year twice. I failed my exams twice. I failed most of my stations throughout the year. And the end of the year, I got really bad marks. And then in the repeats assessments, I got even worse marks. And during this time, I had been going through a lot. I was going through a lot of anxiety. More so anxiety and some depression. I'm going through a breakup, financial issues, and just the stress of fourth year. And a lot of personal stuff behind closed doors. So after having a meeting with my advisor, she realised that I actually had a lot of symptoms of ADHD and I've been missed. I'd not been diagnosed. I'd gone through all my life not being diagnosed, and that's because I was intellectual. I just had a natural intellect that I compensated, and no one's seen that. No one able to pick it out because I could spell. Bro, my spelling was A1. You know, DAWVIST. Yeah. So anyway, days go by. The university contacts me. She submits my name, as a referral. She refers me, and I have to do a student referral to get assessed. So the university sends me some application forms, asks me questions, and they ask my friend to fill out a form, my mum to fill out a form. If I tell you the fight, I had to get my mum to fill out the form because my mum, African parents and diagnoses. Oh, even though her daughter was trained to be a doctor, that was ironic. She was like, no, there's nothing wrong. But I had to beg her, kind of thing. And finally, she managed to fill it out many days later. And my friend filled it out. And when I looked at the application, rewind. So I pay some money to be assessed by education psychologists because the university subsidized most of it. I think it was like £400 for the session, but I paid only £100 only. But as a student, it was a lot of money. Now it's not. Well, relatively. So in that session, this is May 2018. I remember it very vividly. I'm in this room with this really lovely woman. She just asked me so many questions. She's going through the application forms with me. She's not saying much. She's not really commenting. She's just saying, oh, this is what your friend wrote. This is what your mum wrote. This is what you wrote. And she said, there seems to be consistency throughout all what they've said and what you said. Even though none of them knew each other. My friend doesn't know my mum. Mum doesn't know my friend. They both know me. And this is my mum. They were asking questions about my mum, about my childhood, my friend about how I am now. So we do lots of questions. Oh gosh, guys, this took like an hour, 2 hours. My brain was hurting. And by the end, she said, right, you have very severe dyslexia. Guys, when she said that, I said, pardon? Me? I don't have dyslexia? Because I didn't know. I suspected ADHD. I suspected it I suspected it 1-2 times in my life. That's it. But when she said, oh yeah, you got ADHD and you got really bad dyslexia, she was like, it's bad. She was like, your processing speed. Basically, I didn't realize that dyslexia, there's different kinds of dyslexia. There's actually subcategories. So she said my dyslexia more has to do with processing speed. She said, I had the processing speed of the bottom 20% of the population. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. She said, and I was just like, but I don't understand. How am I in medical school? She said, well, your IQ is very high. I was like, what do you mean? She said, you've got the top 1% IQ. And I was like, girl, let me see that sheet. I looked at the sheet. I was like, oh, damn. Because she put it in the computer system. I was like, oh damn. I was like, oh, well, that's God. That's God. I didn't ask for that IQ. It was the IQ done for me. I ain't got money. But so I was like, oh. She said the problem is, look. She said you're on two extremes, so that's why it's balanced out. This IQ's helped you balance out your really, really slow processing speeds. And she also said the problem is as well that, no, she said a lot of people in high level, high skill professions have neurodivergency. And the only time people they notice it is when something happens in their life that causes their coping mechanisms, the mechanisms that they use to get through life. Causes the breakdown. She said your breakdown was medical school, especially fourth year. There were too many things going on that were stretching your intellectual coping mechanisms that made you basically break down. Your coping mechanisms broke down, and that's why you started to struggle in different areas of your life. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And she spoke to me about how ADHD and dyslexia can present in emotions, mentally, socially, academically, and it just made so much sense. So that's how I got diagnosed, really. And she created this 36 or 46 page, I don't know how long it is, but it's at least 20 page report. I read all of it to show what ADHD and dyslexia, how it affected me, and my assessment scores. And when I saw the scores, I was like, some of the scores were really low, especially processing speed, reading speed was really slow, grammatical errors, that I used to make errors, like my spelling was A1, but I would miss out chunks of words because I think I've already written it down because my thoughts are moving that quickly. But obviously she said in terms of comprehension, so she said that apparently IQ, intellectual quota is about how your perception of words and ideas, that was very, very high. So I had a good, very, very high ability to understand concepts, but it took me a long time to process it. But once I processed it, I really basically got it. And I said that makes sense because when it came to driving, I took years to learn to drive. I took years. I just didn't understand it. It was just too many things going on. It was just too much. But then when I passed, when I got the hang of driving, to me now it just makes sense to me how to drive. It's not hard. But anyway, that's something I'm going to talk about later. So after that, I got a disability allowance, and that allowed me to get some equipment, some coaching, and a mentor who really helped me in my ADHD. And the medical school had to give me more support. They had to legally now give me more support and actually show that she's not dumb. It's not that she was not studying. It's not that she was just being a truant, being late, missing stuff. She generally could not process the information you guys were giving to her. So that's how I got diagnosed. I think next video I'm going to talk about all the other ways that ADHD affects me then and how it affects me now to this day, because I still got it. So yeah.